Good to know you're still here with us on the Breakfast Show on Ghana Television. You can get us across the 10 regions of Ghana. We're also streaming live on the internet at gbcghana.com. Next, my guest and I will be talking about a book, Increase Your Scores, and within the OE's got 99 over 100, your guide to academic excellence, which is one thing most of us would like to aspire to see how best we can really achieve that needed academic excellence as we all wish to. So my guest is Hayford Kumah, and Hayford is the author of the book, Increase Your Scores, Your Guide to Academic Excellence. Hayford, good morning.
Good morning, George.
And how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well, by the grace of God. Thank you.
Why increase your scores?
Increase your scores because no matter the level at which you are in life, there is always something extra you can do. So I'm not only talking about academic scores, although this is very much targeted at the student. But what I'm trying to tell everybody out there is that no matter what you are doing in life, you can do it better. There is always a room for improvement. You were talking about the 99 over 100.
Over 100, yeah.
Yes, we put the 99 over 100 and not 100%, as many people often ask me. Is it not possible to make 100%? Of course, it's very possible. But what we are trying to do with this title is to make you aware that there is always a room for improvement. You can always add something to what you already have, and you can always do whatever you are doing better. And so, whatever you are doing, you are now a presenter. I'm sure each time you watch a clip of yourself, you always look at what you did well, what you didn't do well, and how you can improve and perfect what you do. So that is what the book is essentially about.
So the book cuts across all the academic cycles we have in Ghana, from the junior high level, senior high level to the tertiary level.
Yes, it does. So what I did after writing was to get people from the various levels you are talking about. So I have a reviewer from the basic school, a reviewer from senior high school, and a number of reviewers from the tertiary institutions. And they all came out with one conclusion, that the book is recommended to people of all ages and people at all levels of education, including the postgraduate level.
Okay. Now, one challenge we have in our educational system, it's the link between the academia and the industry. There's some sort of distrust between these two. How would this book solve this challenge that we have in our educational system?
Thank you once again. For what our educational system does, it tries to prepare you for a specific job. But then you complete school and you may not be able to get that particular job. So one thing you should be able to do as a student is to manage your time effectively. When you're able to manage your time, well, you can add on to whatever you are studying in the classroom. Where I work now, I am not essentially doing what I studied in the classroom. Much of what I do had to do with what I studied on my own.
So you see
when
the difference
I was a student. Yes, but the other thing is, with our educational system, we are preparing people for jobs that are not there. So that has to be looked at. It is something that has to be looked at. And in addition to that, no matter what you are doing as a student, your target should be, what do I want to be in life? And if you are planning to be an employee, then you know that you don't have to prepare for one job. You have to be prepared for as many opportunities that can come your way, because they will come from diverse fields. You may not get what you were cut out to do at the time you want it. And so students must make the conscious effort to learn from diverse fields. So I did mention something about extensive reading and intensive reading. Yes, I'm sure you've read that. Yes, so extensive reading will help you to gather information from all other sectors that you are not necessarily going to be examined for.
All right. Now, I was going through the book, and when you move to chapter 6, it says learning as part of a group. I spoke with a friend quite recently, and he said that the reason we here in Ghana, we don't have that huge conglomerates of companies, is that we've been taught to do the individual learning. So right from the basic level, it's about individual. When the child gets to the senior high level or the tertiary level, then the child is told to do a group study sort of, which by then it's too difficult for the child to do. So what problem is this chapter going to solve? I guess it's in a way going to help us to do that kind of conglomerate thing, and at the end of the day, create that needed business that we want.
Very, very true. Very, very true, George. You realize that many people go to the classroom and they are there to write notes. They are there to only listen. And they are like, when I go back to my room, it is then that I'm going to learn. Meanwhile, learning is supposed to begin right from the classroom. And so right from the classroom, you should be able to listen effectively, and you should be able to participate in group discussions, in group work. That is truly something that we do not encourage at the basic level. We wait till they do get to the tertiary levels before we do that. But then what can be done is we need to let people know how they can participate in classroom discussions. The problem with many people is that they have this fear. Many students fear to speak because they fear to make a mistake that will lead to some kind of correction, or people, other students laughing at them. So what can be done is I gave some strategies that one can use to overcome that fear. For instance, just noting down whatever you are coming to say before you say it will give you some form of confidence, and then a haven that you can look at when you need to refer. And then sitting close to the teacher. At certain levels of education, your sitting positions are not fixed, so you can move about. So sitting close to the teacher will help you, because when you get up to speak, other students will not turn back and look at you. When many people tend to look at you, then you become afraid, and then suddenly some tension gets on you, and you'll probably not be able to articulate yourself well. So what teachers need to do is to encourage this right from the beginning. And students can also help themselves by beginning with study groups. We wait till we get to the universities when the courses are difficult, and the amount of stuff we have to learn are a lot, so we share it amongst us. But we have to start it right from the basic level so that people can have that courage. Like you were saying, if an American child comes here and a Ghanaian child comes here, and they are both given the opportunity to talk, realize that the American will probably talk, but the Ghanaian will be very timid. We need to encourage our children to overcome this right from the beginning.
Let's briefly touch on chapter 9, project work and presentation. It's quite interesting to have that bit of this in the book. Why did you include project work and presentation?
Like I did mention to you, this is a book that is cutting across all ages, and our intention is for it to be a study guide throughout one's life. Once you buy this book at the JHS or SHS level, I expect that you keep it with yourself until you complete your education. And so at the tertiary level, you will need to have presentation skills, you will need to have project work skills. And just like we just discussed, if we are going to encourage our students to participate in group work, group discussions, and all of this, they are all forms of projects and presentations that they would have to make from time to time. And so I believe that even having it here now would help, so that right from the beginning they know what is expected of them and they prepare for it.
All right. Chapter 8 talks about examinations, and I quote from your first paragraph. And for several purposes, examinations are the exclusive means by which students are assessed and evaluated. I would emphasize on exclusive means. Some school of thought will also say that examination is not the best way to assess and evaluate students. So how do you merge this one and the other school of thought?
Very true. But as you read, for several purposes, not for all purposes. So let me just say that we already have some means of examination that teachers use. Some use presentations, some use seminars, conferences, and all of those. So that is one aspect of it. And then coming to your question, examinations being an exclusive means of assessing students, what are the challenges? The teacher needs to evaluate the student to see whether he or she has gained the understanding or has met the mark for which he or she has to be promoted. And so how does he do this? For now, we have only examination, but the challenge also is that one could be sick, one could not be in his or her best moods, anything at all could happen during the examination period. And so the person could actually be prepared for the examination, the person could actually know what is expected of him or her, but he or she will not be able to articulate that on paper. And then but we need to examine our children. So then the question is, how can this be done? And like we are saying, if we are to encourage the group work right from the beginning, one of the means that we can do that is to use it as a form of assessment. But question, how will WAEC use that to examine students? Do you see the number of facilitators that must be involved in this? It calls for a whole lot. And so it must come right from the policy level, that people or those at the strategic level would understand the need for this, and they will be committed to dedicating funds to be able to do this. talk about science, if we are to make science more practical than theoretical like it is now, WAEC will actually require more resources, because a chunk of the marks will now have to come from the practical work, and so more chemicals will be needed, more test tubes will be needed, and so on and so forth. And so we need to commit resources to this.
Now, Hayford, we've had books upon books. We've had books that talked about almost everything in society. Some inspirational, some is to urge you on, some is to guide and guard you in life. But the other part too is that most of these books, if you read them, it's just a combination of the internet resources. It's not something that is deep rooted in research. What makes this book different?
Thank you. Like you did mention, there are various books, but why is it that when I submitted this book, you were willing to review it? Because you went through it and you realized that, one, it is very much linked to our local environment. It targets our problems right at the root, right at the center. And then you were talking about research. Having gone through the book, I'm sure you've come across all the various researchers that I did mention. I talked about Howard Gardner, who actually came out with the multiple IQ, so that intelligence is no longer based only on the verbal and mathematical ability of a student, but the musical, the visual, the bodily or kinesthetic, intrapersonal, interpersonal, they are all forms of intelligences.
But these things you've just mentioned are things that are so rare in our educational system, especially in the classroom. When we talk about intelligence or somebody or a child being very intelligent in school or in class, it's about the book.
Yes, it's about the book, and that is basically verbal and then mathematical, because most of the things we do are basically English and maths based, and so it's verbal intelligence and then mathematical intelligence. The challenge is that when one is not dominant in that intelligence, then we classify them as weak students, but that is not actually the case. The problem is we are not able to harness the total intelligence of the individual. If we can make whatever we are teaching more intrapersonal, we appeal to the one who has intrapersonal intelligence. If we can make it musical, we appeal to the one who has musical intelligence. And if you make it visual, you appeal to the one who has visual intelligence. So students or pupils at the nursery level are able to remember their poems, they are able to remember the pictures. Humpty Dumpty, you still be able to recite it, because when you were in school, it was pasted on the wall. You had visual intelligence, you were able to harness it. But as you go, you use it less and less, and you use the verbal and mathematical more. So what happens is you are limiting your intelligence. Exactly, and that is what the school system does. So the idea of this book is to expose the reader to these things, so that you would consciously make the effort to harness your total intelligence to improve on your life.
I think you've managed to convince our viewers why they should get a copy of this book. Where can one get a copy of this book?
You can get copies of this book at Delcam Bookshop, Adenta. You can get copies very soon at Challenge Bookshop, University of Ghana Bookshop, EPP Bookshop. And you can write on my wall, Hayford Kumah, on Facebook. You can write Hayford Kumah on Facebook. And then also, if you want to contact me directly, you can get me on 0249 608 336. That's 0249 608 336.
And how cheap or expensive is this book?
This book is as cheap as 8 Ghana cedis.
Really?
Yes, as cheap as 8 Ghana cedis. When you look at the quality, the binding and everything, you would think it's going for 20 Ghana.
Okay.
But because of the target market and because of what we are trying to do to enhance lives out there, it's very, very cheap and affordable at 8 Ghana cedis only.
Okay. Therefore, let's leave it here for now. We'll try and find time to explore other areas again. That's if you come up with your next book, okay? All right. Hayford Kumah is the author of the book Increase Your Scores, Your Guide to Academic Excellence, and I will urge you all to get a copy of this book for your child and across all the educational levels we have in this country, and see how best you can help increase your academic excellence. It is still the Breakfast Show here on Ghana Television. Now, Kumasi is noted for its gospel music. How far is this assertion true? We take you through a feature about gospel music in Kumasi. Stay with us, the Breakfast Show.
Realize that most of the gospel musicians are from the Ashanti